Guys, Assalamualaikum everyone. How are you today? Okay, Ramadan yang ke 21 lah. Okay, penghujung Ramadan sudah. Alright, so today I'm going to cover chapter 5 on planned social change. Okay, last week we have covered on social change. This time around is planned social change. So let's take a look at the chapter outcomes. Okay, so for this particular chapter, okay, there are only two lesson outcomes. Okay, the first one is to explain the planned social change. It means what are the definitions of planned social change. Okay, and then we have lesson outcome 2. Okay, to explain the resistance to social change. Resistance is ketidakmahuan untuk berubah lah kan, resistance. Apa yang resist you from accepting the change. Okay, and then we have the strategies to overcome them. So of course, kalau you resist, what are the strategies that actually can be designed by the government, okay, to ensure that you can accept the change. Okay. Alright, so definition of planned social change. Okay, it is a continuous effort, okay, usaha yang berterusan from the government, okay, to influence, to guide, to control change, social variables and also the economy. So basically, when we talk about planned social change, it is a continuous effort, okay, made by the government to ensure that the rakyat is able to accept the change and to adapt and adopt with the change. Okay, for example, what kind of change? Change apa? Continuous effort. Lama pula kan fikir change ni. Okay, to change the smoking habit among the heavy smokers, for example. Okay, kalau you perasan, the efforts made by the government is dia bukan macam tahun ni je, tahun depan tiada sudah effort itu. Okay, so untuk reduce the total numbers of smokers in our country, okay, the efforts need to be very consistent. Macam tu. So mesti ada continuous effort. Sama juga macam if let's say you would like to help those smallholder farmers, okay, petani kecil sederhana, to improve diorang punya standard of living. So we will continuously guide them, okay, providing them assistance, okay, so that they actually can come out from the poverty. Okay, so maksudnya diorang sudah tidak lagi di bawah kategori kemiskinan tegar. Okay. Alright, so macam for example, like in order to help those smallholder farmers, the government continuously support them with microcredit, macam loan kan. We do have the agro bank kan, providing loans kan, and then we do have several institutions that actually can provide training, free training for example, atau not necessarily free lah, ada yang free, ada yang you have to pay, tapi at the end of the day you can learn something from that particular courses. Okay, ada satu course tu I punya adik attend, course buat mi kuning. So pulang tu dia bawa pulang lah mi kuning yang dia sudah buatkan. So at least you can learn how to be a good entrepreneur to produce mi kuning. Okay, and then you can sell. Okay, after that you can earn your own income lah. So dia boleh actually help you to focus on to improvise you punya standard of living. Okay. Alright, deliberative, concise and collaborative efforts, okay, by change agent. Dia mau highlight on change agent, okay, to improve the operations of social system. Now, who actually works on the planned social change ni adalah the change agent. Change agent ni ataupun agen perubahan is someone who actually will ensure that the change tu is delivered to the target group. Maksudnya change agent ni akan pastikan whatever changes that being initiated at the at the highest level of government, so dia akan sampai reach the public ataupun reach the target group. Okay, so for example like apa bagusan change agent. Okay, like let's say the implementation of the wireless village, okay, kampung tanpa wayar. Kan, kampung tanpa wayar ni kan maksudnya someone who actually, the change agent, it means change agent ni macam the bureaucrats, okay, ataupun pejabat awam. Okay, maksudnya the planning is already done by the government, so yang akan implement would be the change agent lah. So the change agent have to ensure that everyone in that particular kampung able to receive the free internet access, for example. So maksudnya sampai kepada rakyat. Kalau macam bentuk bantuan dan sebagainya pun kan sampai kepada rakyat jugalah. So it has to be done by the change agent. Okay. Alright, so there are three levels untuk plan social change. Okay, the first one we have the change sponsor. Change sponsor ni it is referring to the government lah, because the government to act as the policy makers yang membuat dasar. Okay, and also of course as the government they are responsible to plan and decide on what are development policies that is suitable for the rakyat. Contohnya new economic policy, whatever policies that are related to the rakyat, boleh ubah hidup rakyat, okay, boleh membantu rakyat. So basically itu yang akan kena initiate by the government lah. Okay, and then maintain good relationship with the change agent and also the target group. Ini pun penting juga, because okay, as a change sponsor they have to ensure that they have a good relationship with the change agent. Kenapa? Sebab change agent ni yang akan deliver whatever relevant information to the target group. So they need to have a good relationship with change agent. At the same time, change sponsor ni pun kena ada good relationship dengan target group, ataupun target group ni tu maksudnya yang akan terima that kind of perubahan. Okay, kenapa? Sebab supaya senang lah untuk terima perubahan kan, because if let's say you assume lah kan there is no there is a very poor relationship between the government and also the target group, so it's very difficult for them to accept the change. Okay, now change agent. Okay, change agent ni can be divided into. Now, primary change agent ni is referring to the bureaucrats yang bekerja dalam sistem birokrasi, ataupun it is referring to the penjawat awam, okay, or the government officers. Okay, so the responsibility of the primary change agent is to build the bridge between the government and also the target group lah. Okay, sebab dia kira macam mediator, macam orang tengah antara kerajaan dan juga rakyat. Ataupun in between the change, in between the government and also the target group. So dia tengah-tengah. Sebab tu dia kena pastikan dia ada dia maksudnya, the change agent tu has its own role, okay, to ensure there is a good relationship between the government and also the target group lah. Okay. Now, secondary change agent pula, ingat dah kalau primary it is referring to the bureaucrats ataupun penjawat awam. Okay, whereas for the secondary change agent, okay, it is referring to the supporters, to the leaders who he considered as the formal change agent. Okay, secondary change agent, tengok dia punya example di bawah sekali. Example JKKKKK, Jawatan Kuasa Kemajuan Kampung. Village head ni ketua kampung. Community leaders. Okay, ini antara orang kita panggil sebagai secondary change agent. Why? It's because of these are among the person that is very close to the localities. Okay, yang rapat dengan penduduk kawasan orang lah. Dan if let's say ada changes yang mau kena, let's say there is changes that need to be brought to that particular kampung. So yang akan influence akan influence the target group dulu adalah this particular secondary change agent. Because kalau tiba-tiba primary change agent datang kan, primary change agent tu sudahlah someone who is not really familiar with the place kan, and then dah rapat pun dengan locality, so they need to have the assistance from the secondary change agent. Kadang-kadang kita panggil ketua kampung atau ketua, boleh ketua kalau kita mau bagi free bajak kan, free fertilizers, okay, kepada orang kampung, tapi yang penting orang kampung kena ada minat untuk menanam okay, whatever crops lah, okay, tumbuh-tumbuhan dan sebagainya. So maksudnya we would like to change this kind of mentality of the target group, so we need to have the assistance from the secondary change agent. Okay, sebab tu dia bilang sini secondary change agent tu can be regarded as the supporters, okay, to the leaders who he considered as the formal change agent. Maksudnya diorang ni macam penyokong kepada the bureaucrats ataupun penjawat awam yang datang untuk brought the changes. Okay. Now, identify the problem faced by the target group by identifying target group goals and also alternatives. So, secondary change agent, one of the roles of the secondary change agent as well, okay, to identify the problems existed by ataupun faced by the target groups. Because kadang-kadang the target groups ataupun the localities ni, they refuse to accept the change is because of they do have their own problem. Kadang-kadang kita mau implement, okay, why not semua orang wajib ada satu rumah satu tanaman, for example. Okay, tapi some of them refuse is because of they do not have the necessary supplies for the crops. Okay, that is why they refuse to accept the change. Okay, so it's very important to ensure that the target groups are not having any difficulties, and if let's say they do have difficulties, please assist them. It means that the secondary change agent they have to identify ways on how actually to overcome the resistance towards change among this particular target group. Kadang-kadang orang tak mau terima is because of some of the changes that need to be brought to their kampung. They have to, it incurred money ataupun it incurred cost. So when it comes to cost, yang orang terpaksa keluar bajet sendiri, that is why some of them they feel like it's very difficult for them to adopt the change. Okay, sebab dia melibatkan cost. Okay, now the third one we have the target group. Okay, target group ni is referring to the group in society that need attention from the government, okay, because of the specific problem or issues. Kalau micro, okay, we have micro example individual, intermediate we have organization and community, and the last one we have macro, which is the society as a whole lah. Okay, for example, micro, you can take the example of the stop smoking clinic. Maksudnya why actually we encourage the healthy smokers to attend the stop smoking clinic is because of we like to reduce the total numbers of smokers in our country. These healthy smokers can be regarded as the people who need more attention from the government. Sebab okay, we know the implication of smoking. Yalah, kita tahu sudah implication, tapi people keep, tapi yalah, it's individual choices again, tapi at the same time there are some of the high risk smokers they would like to stop but they do not know how to stop. So maksudnya the government will be providing ways how actually they can actually reduce the tendency of smoking. At the same time, at the end of the day, diorang akan totally stop smoking lah, for example lah. Okay, so then we have now micro, individual, okay, stop smoking clinic. Okay, and then we have intermediate. Okay, we have the organization and also community. Okay, let's say okay, before the implementation of look is policy, okay, majority of the government servant Tun Mahathir bilang kita mau kasih, we have to ensure that the government servants are punctual. Sebelum ni kan, kalau macam in term of the attitude kan, some of the government servants we do not have a proper attendance record. So maksudnya kalau datang pergi office, mungkin we only have to write down our attendance manually on the logbook. So this will increase the the tendency of the employees who are not tendency of the employees who are not really punctual. Okay, so because of this issue, the government come out with the Lukis policy. So the government started to introduce on the implementation of the punch card system. So at least when the government implemented on this particular system, at least we do have a proper check-in, clock-in and clocking out system for the attendance, to record the attendance of the employees. So these are among the changes that we brought to the public organization to change the attitude of the government servant yang kurang punctual. Jadi sekarang ni bila ada punch card system, okay, sekarang ni lebih punctual lah, is because of the punch card and punch card system tu actually boleh record kalau macam you terlambat 1 minit, terus punch card sudah di merah kan, tapi kalau you on time, of course dia jadi hitam lah, jadi kita boleh detect siapa yang datang lambat. Okay, tapi sekarang ni the attendance record is more advanced. Okay, we do have the finger tag system. Finger tag lagi bagus sikit lah kan, sebab we only going to use our own thumbprint, fingerprint ni kan. Okay, alright, and then last one is macro ataupun society. Now I took one example, the issue on baby dumping. Okay, kes pembuangan bayi. Okay, kenapa isu ini need the attention, what attention from the government is because of ada satu kali tu, I think few years ago, okay, almost hari-hari ada isu on pembuangan bayi, kes baby dumping ni. So the government has actually identified this issue as one of the critical issue to be addressed. Okay, kenapa? Sebab maksudnya ialah sebab you buang bayi kan, so it's something yang tidak bagus lah. Okay, it is immoral lah, immoral, tidak boleh diterima langsung kan. Okay, so they have actually come out with a solution. Okay, for example, like the Kementerian Wanita, Keluarga dan Masyarakat, okay, they have come out with the baby hatch. Baby hatch tu macam dia bilang you don't simply throw your baby. Dia bilang instead, dia bilang you can put the baby on the hatch, so orang akan ambil. I mean kalau you letak di hatch kan, nanti akan ada macam, dia macam counter, and then nanti you akan ada orang akan pick the baby. Tapi itulah isu dia adalah it actually encourage people to dump babies lagi lah, dia bilang kan, sebab kita sudah provide alternatif kan. Tapi itulah, itu antara yang actually become one of the issues that actually caught the attention of the government lah. Tapi sebenarnya banyak lagi isu, okay. Ialah isu tentang kemiskinan kan. Kalau macam when we talk about poverty, okay, when we talk about rural area tu is always, I mean not always lah, tapi more or less associated with poverty. So maksudnya kalau mau tolong orang kawasan luar bandar ni, what actually the government can do. So ini maksudnya these are among the group of people kan. Kadang-kadang there are certain areas, especially those who are living in the remote places, they do not have access to electricity, they do not have access to water supply. So ini antara orang yang perlukan perhatian dan perlu dibantu. And some of them they do not have even the proper road, jalan raya yang bagus pun tidak ada kan. So ini yang perlu kita bantulah sebenarnya. And in fact kalau you perasan, okay, although you are living in the remote places kan, you jauh daripada bandar dan sebagainya, the government keep continuously sending nurses, doctors ke kawasan pedalaman. They have to travel by boat kan, through the river kan, just only to sampai dekat tempat tu. And there are some of the teachers as well, okay, they would like to teach. I mean yalah, the government through Ministry of Education kan, dorang pun nampak benda ni sebagai satu isu yang serius. Maksudnya although you are staying in the remote places, tapi you still have the rights to having better access to education. So I mean bukan better access, at least you have the rights to education kan. So they will be sending teachers as well. Cikgu-cikgu kan kadang-kadang awal pagi tu they have to travel. I have one friend, dia di Miri, dia kena travel Miri ke, I can't remember area, tapi ada salah satu area di Sarawak. Dia kena travel mula-mula jalan darat dulu, and then lepas tu baru jalan sungai lah untuk pergi sekolah. Betapa kuatnya semangat kan orang mau pergi mengajar kan, untuk pastikan everyone gets education. Okay. Alright, okay, resistance to change. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, okay, 6 resistant to change. Maksudnya, kenapa you tidak mau terima perubahan, ataupun kenapa it's very difficult for you to accept the change. Okay, it's because of the first one is perceptual blocks. Perceptual maksudnya perception. Kita punya persepsi ni yang menyebabkan kita tidak mau terima perubahan. Okay, for example, seeing only what you expect to see. Okay, issue on stereotyping. Stereotyping ni macam ni. Okay, we always see women as a burden when they have become one of the top level of management. It means that we feel like is very strict. They are very strict. They are very strict. Dorang tidak lenient, and then they are very bossy, and then at the same time they do have their own mood, for example. So you feel like kalau perempuan dapat pangkat pergi atas ni, dunia you jadi gelap gelita lah, macam tu. So this kind of stereotyping is not good. Maksudnya tiba-tiba kan ni punya organisation bilang, okay, starting from tomorrow, okay, we will be having a new leader, okay, perempuan, dia bilang gitu. Terus you macam, perempuan, macam tu. Okay, because of stereotyping. That is why you refuse to accept the change. Sama juga macam, if let's say ini contoh saja, okay, let's say you dislike the government of the day. Okay, you dislike the government of the day, so whatever changes brought by the government of the day, you akan rasa macam semua dah bagus. Okay, because you have this kind of stereotyping. So sebenarnya dah bolehlah begitu kan. Okay, so at least whoever calls the government, okay, we have to give them chances lah kan. Okay, siapa-siapa lah yang sebelum nikah, yang sekarang kan, macam tu. Okay, bagi peluang dululah sementara kali kan. Okay, after all we have the next election as well, okay, to determine who will be replacing the MPs in the parliament, kan? Okay. Apa lagi stereotyping okay, stereotyping on women driver is a bad driver. Jadi kan kalau di jalan raya kan, kita akan selalu cakap, ni kalau slow ni perempuan lah ni. Macam tu kan. It's because of the perception. Okay, perception. Kalau slow je perempuan, kalau slow je perempuan. Not necessarily lah kan. Okay. Alright, emotional blocks. Okay, this kind of emotional blocks will actually have the tendency to blocks you from accepting the change. Contohnya macam you have fear of making mistakes or looking foolish. Takut nampak macam dah berapa pandai, kan? Takut nampak macam telah buat mistakes. Okay, ini especially when your department, for example, starting to introduce the latest and advance of technology, and I mean latest and modern technology to be adopted in your organisation, tapi you nak mau guna sebab you takut nampak nak pandai. Macam tu. Impatient. Kalau boleh hari ni implement, besok sudah ada hasil. Susahlah begitu kan. Because benda baru ni kalau kena implement, ataupun yalah perubahan ni kalau kena implement kan, kalau macam contoh macam the government kan, okay, we going to give you free seats, bagi baja free kepada smallholder farmers, tapi you bilang, okay, kalau boleh minggu depan ada sudah tumbuh you punya pokok jagung, lepas tu mau jual sudah minggu depan. Anda boleh lah. Okay, impatience. Okay, avoiding anxiety. You ada perasaan cemas. Okay, asal ada benda baru je you cemas. Ada benda baru je you cemas. Okay, that's why in order to avoid anxiety, okay, you decided not to accept the change. Because you bilang kalau ada benda baru je membuatkan you rasa macam berdebar-debar, berpeluh-peluh begitu kan. Okay. Fear of taking risk. Ini orang yang tidak sukakan risiko. Okay, sebab risiko apa? Risiko salah buat kerja. Okay, risiko, mana-mana risiko kan kalau ada benda baru ni. Okay, especially when the government, when your organisation ke ataupun your department started to introduce on something new. Okay, tapi you ni someone yang memang jenis yang too complacent. Maksudnya terlalu selesa dengan keadaan you. Jadi you tidak mahu kalau boleh ada benda-benda baru yang datang. Gitu. Okay. Alright, and then we have intellectual blocks. Okay, lack of creative thinking, using inadequate information. Okay, so ini lebih kepada, the intellectual, ini macam kognitif kan, pemikiran you kan. Okay, so maksudnya macam, kenapa you fail to accept, why in certain ways that you refuse to accept the change is because of there is inadequate information being used. Being delivered to you as the target group. So maksudnya macam you cuma rely on information yang sikit saja sampai. You tidak try untuk, probably mungkin the information delivered tu tidak sampai lah, ataupun it's not a comprehensive information delivered to you. That is why you akan rasa benda tu macam it's very difficult for you to accept. Okay, ni mau bagi example ni macam example apa bagi saya intellectual blocks. Okay, GST. Before the implementation of SST, okay, we have GST. Kan masa awal-awal ni GST mau kena introduce kan, ramai yang object the ideas of GST kan. So kenapa reject the idea of GST? Because people especially at the rural area kan, they fail to get the real picture on what is GST is all about and how actually it can enrich the economic of the nation, for example, atau how actually it can bukan enrich lah, to alter the economic development of the nation lah. Okay, so probably mungkin because of sikit-sikit saja yang dapat information tu kan, jadi kita rasa macam benda tu nak bagus, macam tu. Tapi yalah, it depends on people's your individual judgment as well. Okay, some of them they feel like GST is good, some of them they feel like GST is very burdensome. Okay, environmental blocks. Okay, kadang-kadang you tidak mahu terima perubahan is because of distraction, ada gangguan. Okay, physical discomfort. Okay, perubahan itu menyebabkan you sakit-sakit kepala, sakit-sakit leher, okay, sakit-sakit tulang belakang, kan? Okay, that kind of changes as well. Lack of support. It means that the top level management pun they actually did not support 100% on that particular ideas. So maksudnya kalau diorang pun dah sokong, so of course kita pun rasa macam apa dah lagi kita yang the middle and low level management ni kan, of course kita rasa macam it is not really important for us to support sebab the top level management pun tidak support. Okay, stress. Okay, ada orang tidak perlu suka perubahan sebab dia stress. Macam sekarang ni kan, sudden changes kan from classroom orientation kan, kita tukar kepada ODL, online distance learning kan. Somehow awal-awal tu agak stress lah sebenarnya kan, for us to adapt, for us to adjust and also adapt the change kan. Tapi I think awal-awal tu I rasa macam, yelah, I sakit kepala, Ana boleh pusing leher I. Leher I boleh pusing. I rasa macam stress betul. Tapi Alhamdulillah, things getting better. Sekarang ni pun I sudah dapat dia punya pace. I hope that you are getting the pace as well. You are getting the 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 rhythm as well. So hopefully this kind of thing can be reduced. Stress dan sebagainya. Now next one we have cultural blocks. Cultural blocks ni maksudnya memang you punya culture memang macam tu. You jenis yang tidak suka perubahan. Ataupun maybe because of tabu. Prohibition of tabu ni maksudnya prohibition of certain behavior and those against it will result in extreme disgust, and even expulsion from the group or society. For example, men should do repair at the house and be the one to work and make money, while women are expected to take care of the housework and children. Now, tabu ni dia akan jadi something that is not good when bukan macam tu, maksudnya macam kepercayaan kan tu, something that is in something yang kita expect berlaku. Contoh kalau kita selalu, you always regard that man will always be the head of the family. So tiba-tiba kalau tiba-tiba dia punya husband yang take care of dia punya kids di rumah, kita nampak benda tu macam tak betul sudah. And we refuse to accept that kind of changes. Is because of we see that culture dia, budaya dia macam lelaki memang pergi kerja, perempuan memang stay rumah jaga anak. So bila kita nampak benda tu bertukar, we feel like napatutnya begitu. Kenapa macam tu? Macam tu kan? So we refuse to accept that kind of changes is because of the culture. Because of ialah kita punya expectation tu like, kita punya prohibition tu lain. Tapi yang kita implement tu benda tu lain. Ni macam women as the breadwinner lah kan. Diorang nak mau macam tu. Diorang mau, perempuan memang di rumah saja. Dulu-dulu pun women are expected to be in the kitchen kan, rather than to work. Tapi sekarang ni alhamdulillah dia slowly sudah jalan lah kan. Dia slowly sudah apa. Sama juga macam sama juga macam apa. Itu je lah kali kan. Probably you can have better example on tabu. As long as you boleh prove yang tabu tu maksudnya tabu ni is prohibition lah of certain kita punya kelakuan dan sebagainya. So siapa-siapa yang against that prohibition tu akan dipandang serong. Macam tu. Now the last one we have expressive blocks. Using wrong language and familiar with the application of a particular language, inadequate explanation. Now, when talk about expressive blocks, that is why whatever government tries to deliver nowadays, they will deliver dalam bentuk animated pictures, ataupun dalam bentuk animasi. Sebab animasi ni lebih senang difahami, especially those who do not possess good level of education. Kadang-kadang kita nampak kita punya parents di kampung ataupun nenek-nenek di kampung, diorang nak faham pun COVID-19 tu sebenarnya sebagai apa. Sebagai apa. COVID-19 tu apa? Macam tu kan. So it's very important to make them to be able to adopt the new norms, by understanding kenapa penting untuk diorang duduk rumah. Macam tu. So sekarang kan kalau you tengok TV kan, ada yang cerita kaki makcik Kiyah lah, ada gayah lah, ada beberapa watak dalam tu, tapi dia orang buat dalam bentuk kartun kan. So ini penting juga sebab kalau kita just assume that the government decided to deliver everything in English kan. So semua tu dalam English. Contoh macam GTP sebelum ni, Government Transformation Program ni, masa awal-awal GTP kena implement, semua pun dalam bahasa Inggeris. Tapi probably mungkin after that they have realised yang penting lah untuk kasih faham tentang GTP dalam bahasa Melayu is Pelan Transformasi Kerajaan. So the things has been the ideas on GTP had been delivered in BM selepas itu. So this kind of thing which actually makes the people ataupun the target group easy lah to much more easier for them to understand the concept. So penting juga ni penggunaan bahasa ataupun language yang sesuai. untuk pastikan message tu sampai. Okay, now tadi resistance. Okay, of course after ada resistance, we need to overcome the resistance to change by having strategies. Now the first strategy kita panggil sebagai persuasive. Okay, persuasive tu it means the government is offering incentive to the actual of potential change resistors. So maksudnya we have to identify who are among this target group having the, maksudnya ada potential to resist, ada potential untuk reject the ideas. So contohnya macam issue on the ini wireless village kan, dulu kita ada rural internet desa. Ini antara program yang mendapat sambutan di kalangan orang-orang kampung. Tapi however, of course akan ada orang yang object the idea is because of bila dapat akses untuk wireless ni kan, the tendency of the youth kan to spend more time in front of the PC pun agak lama juga. Jadi some of the parents ataupun some of the elderly, they are not agree with this idea lah. So probably mungkin we can provide certain incentive. Contohnya macam bayaran bil bulanan free kah, ataupun they don't have to pay anything kah, ataupun you provide with free laptop kah kan. So just only to ease their, just only to ease and sweeten diorang punya perasaan tu yang rasa macam more resist. Tapi at the same time bila the government offers something in return, so they feel like ialah diorang rasa macam tak apalah, nak payah bayar apa-apa juga begitu kan. So diorang rasa macam okay lah, bolehlah terima idea ni, contohnya begitu You probably can find better example. Okay, next one we have facilitative. Provide facilitative tu came from the facilitate, so it means they're providing assistance, bantuan to those who are experiencing the hardship of change. Yang susah untuk bukan diorang mau terima perubahan, tapi diorang susah untuk to implement that kind of change. Implement the perubahan tu lah. For example, ini for smallholder farmers. Apa yang kita boleh bantu dorang? Dorang ni they do have semangat kan untuk ubah orang punya standard of living, but somehow they do not have sufficient materials ataupun sufficient support. So what actually can be done by the government is they will provide free seeds, free fertilizers and proper irrigation system for the smallholder farmers who like to embark on their own crops. And then at the end of the day, diorang boleh tanam jagung kah, watermelon kan, and so on. Diorang, maksudnya kita sudah bagi benda-benda ni free kan, percuma kan. So dengan harapan diorang boleh ensure diorang punya crops tu tumbuh dengan bagus, and then they can actually sell at the market. And then diorang dah boleh dapat diorang punya own income, so at least they can sustain diorang punya living. So ini provide bantuan. Sama juga macam provide klinik kah, ataupun bukan klinik, dia macam courses, provide training kah kan. Kadang-kadang dah tahu pun macam mana membuat keropok lekor, tapi ada satu course tu, I can't remember, Madi kah buat? Madi kah? I pun lupa. Ada satu institution tu dia buat course khas untuk produk-produk kampung. Produk-produk kampung yang kita boleh jual. Contoh macam keropok-keropok lekor kan. Jadi sebenarnya kita nak tahu macam membuat keropok lekor. So we can attend this training. Training satu hari untuk buat keropok lekor. Adik saya pun ada attend di hari tu. Pulang tu bangga dia bawa pulang keropok lekor kan. So dengan sos-sos dia sekali. So at least dengan bawa pulang resepi satu kali. So at least dia tahu sudah how actually boleh buat keropok lekor yang frozen tu, then boleh jual. Tapi nak juga dia mau jual lah. Re-educative. To educate the people about change sebelum implementation. Contohnya adalah GST. Before GST was implemented, the academic discourse, betul ke tu discourse itu? Forums, talk, will help to discuss on the implication of GST upon rakyat. So maksudnya sebelum apa-apa perubahan takes place, is very important to educate people before the change being implemented. Dia nak boleh terus-terus kan, hari ni lulus di parlimen kan, has been approved in parlimen, besok terus implement. Orang akan marah lah, nak tahu apa-apa tiba-tiba mau implement kan. So mesti ada mesti ada better information lah being delivered to the rakyat dulu, baru kita boleh implement. Kalau macam yang sebelah ni kan, kejap lagi lagi cerita yang sebelah ni pula. Now authoritative, menggunakan kuasa. Okay, employ the force of authority, okay, to implement change. Okay, ini selalu kerajaan akan buatlah. Kadang-kadang dah tunggu pun rakyat punya pendapat apa, okay, dia terus implement lah. Tapi ialah implement pun is because of untuk kebaikan rakyat, okay, for the sake of the rakyat. Okay, alright. So contohnya macam mandatory use, okay, of the children car seats in January 2020. Ini pun sepatutnya masa yang previous government Pakatan Harapan before yang the recent one PN ni kan, okay, apa ni, ada announcement lah untuk ini ya, okay, mandatory use of the children car seats in January 2020. Tapi diorang bilang for the first 6 months tidak akan dikenakan saman lah, okay, tapi selepas itu mungkin akan dikenakan saman. Tapi yalah, sekarang ni because of we are too busy with COVID-19 and so on, probably mungkin this enforcement dia mungkin lambat sikit, okay, tapi still we have to prepare on this one as well, okay. Tapi itulah banyak juga isu kan, okay, children car seat, tapi dia memang bagus, okay. I rasa memang kena ada car seat lah, okay. Tapi itulah, just imagine if let's say the children is more than 4 or 5 kan dalam satu kereta kan, so you have to put the car seat. Car seat bukan murah guys, car seat agak mahal juga, okay, untuk satu car seat tu, okay. Tapi yalah, of course kalau ada apa tu kemalangan dan sebagainya, kasih tu sebenarnya, ialah kemalangan kita tidak kadang-kadang tak boleh elak. Okay, kasih tu sebenarnya sangat membantu. Ada satu kejadian tu, okay, ada accident, okay, the parents tercampak keluar, okay, injured, okay, and the baby is still intact on the car seats. Car seat tu pun tercampak keluar, tapi baby tu masih lagi duduk dalam car seats. Maksudnya dia tidak tercampak keluar daripada car seats. So it's very important as well to have the car seats. Sebab tu you all kerja belajar rajin, kerja bagus-bagus supaya beli apa-apa yang sepatutnya lah untuk keselamatan you and your family as well. Okay, alright. Okay, that's it for chapter 5. Okay, so next week we have chapter 6 on economic development. Okay, that would be the last chapter before we have our Hari Raya break. Ya, Raya pun di rumah saja, kan? Okay, thank you everyone. That's all for today. Okay, I'll see you again next week, okay, for chapter 6. Yeah, thank you. Selamat berpuasa. Assalamualaikum. Bye bye.